Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Barcast TV. We have another installment of Mastering the Early Game on Theta Crystals, and we're gonna shamelessly steal Goopy's open, so let's take a look. Actually, first comment here, I'll pause and unpause and repause the game immediately. Take a look at the starting position here of Goopy. This is definitely based off of the size of the starting boxes the players drew in the lobby, but he's opted for this forward position here on Theta Crystals, and sometimes you actually see, or a lot of times I should say, normally, see players start on this plateau, and notice that Goopy has used this forward position as started at this forward position with his commander, and that's going to allow a couple things we can talk about here real fast. First thing is it's going to let him build his factory right here on the low ground, and in this forward position, that's going to have two advantages. His initial engineers are going to be able to expand to these back, right, left locations more quickly, when his grunts are going to be able to harass on this left and right side more quickly as well, just by nature of this starting location, right? Instead, we have this difference in distance between the two factories. So definitely a cool little thing, something to note. I would say also one advantage it also provides is it protects this plateau a little more. It's like we're denying one lane into that, or I suppose two lanes onto that plateau, having our main base starting here. So really that restricts the run by locations onto that plateau to these left and right flanks here, which we can leisurely cover with our own grunts being in position here to kind of deflect those movements, right? So kind of puts our production farther forward, allows us to expand a little more quickly, and protects the plateau a little better than just spawning on it for yourself. I'm sure there's advantages and disadvantages for each spawning position, but we'll just take a look at from Goopy's perspective what he chose to do. So you can finally unpause the replay, and pretty standard, just capping the mexes first with your commander, and then we're going to be moving into power production into some bot or vehicle factory. So we'll take a look at which one Goopy chooses to do. It's going to take a small little walk with his commander, cap this last mex here, and start a solar collector. I'm sure he's gone for that solar collector because we can see that average wind speed is below 10 on a map of 16, so doesn't want to get punished by the wind speed, and yeah, there it goes, dropping down already, way below 10. It's going to add on extra wind turbines, so we see the 5 additional wind turbines before vehicle plant or bot factory, bot lab or vehicle plant. And he's going to choose bot lab first, so I really like these opens. Definitely prefer bots over vehicles in the early game, even on these relatively flat open maps with lots of mass on it. Definitely like prioritizing the fast moving low cost bots over vehicles, and that's going to give you access to the grunt as well as the grave robber. I don't think our vehicle lab actually has a Tech 1 counterpart to this grave robber, so for those of you who don't know, Theta Crystals has, wouldn't you know it, lots of crystals. This is great reclaim, 500 energy, 350 energy. So definitely giving you extra economy here in the early game. You can put into your build order to get more units on the board more quickly. So great to see. So Goopy continue to add on wind turbines. That wind is not cooperating, way under 10. So that's going to force him to build another solar collector. So solar collector, 7 wind turbines into another solar collector. And he's going to go construction bot into grave robber. So yeah, definitely prioritizing getting this reclaim sucked up on the map and using this pretty cool command. Actually, pause it and show this off. I just learned this today. If we have a grave robber selected, take a look at the command card. We can see repair, reclaim, restore, resurrect is all on here. We can issue those commands. We even have the corresponding hotkeys, but for all of them, you can click and drag on FAF or total annihilation for that matter. We can hit E for reclaim and then just click and drag a circle, and that instead of having to queue up all these individual commands to kind of quickly return those into our economy, we can just E, click and drag. Same goes for resurrect, control R, click and drag, can resurrect units in an area. Super cool command. I'm sure we'll see him using that later on in the match, but definitely good to utilize the hotkeys over issuing commands with the command card. So 2 minutes, 10 seconds into the game. Continuing to add on solar plants. It's rather unfortunate the wind speed is so low in this game, but yeah, halts that because he has a construction bot here actually starting all these wind turbines. So construction bot, grave robber, grunt. They're going to be continue to adding on grunts here as well. Definitely want to protect those flanks, and we can take a look at the movements here. You know, one to the left, one to the top, one across the map. Just wants to protect the grave robber here with this grunt. He wants to protect this run by here with this grunt. He wants to see units coming by. 2 more units are moving across the field. So I know I've harped on this before, but you know, if you're new to the game and don't have the most APM, you want to be prioritizing protecting against run-bys and protecting your expanding engineers. And Goopy doesn't have any of those quite yet. Actually, with his second engineer, finally he's going to be coming through, capping all these mexes. I actually like how he's not adding on LLTs. I think he's going to be focusing on protecting those with units, which is good to see. We'll pause the game, see some more commands coming up. So we have our third engineer. Let's just take a count. We're 3 minutes, 16 seconds into the game. So far we have made 2, 4, 6, 7 grunts, 2 construction bots, 1 grave robber. We're sitting at about +7 mass income per tick, and I don't want to call it exactly because we can see some reclaim, but about 200 economy per tick. Power. And with this third engineer, we're going to be coming back to our plateau, capping the 4 mexes, and adding on another grid of wind turbines. So really prioritizing increasing that economy, and this is going to time out well with adding on that extra metal. So you definitely want to balance as you're progressing through the game. Metal income, power, and build power. You don't want to be overemphasizing one or having an imbalance, because that's just going to create a bottleneck for your economy. If you have too much mass and not enough build power to spend it, well, that could be tanks on the battlefield. If you have mass and build power, no actual energy, well, that's going to create a bottleneck. Your factories aren't going to run properly. Your LLTs, your radars aren't going to work properly. They're going to be stalling for energy. So definitely want to balance all 3 resources as you progress through the game. So we have 1 expanding engineer to the right, an expanding engineer to the plateau, and Goopy's making another engineer. I'm sure this one's going to head to the left somehow, either up by the plateau or just staying on this low ground here. So I don't want to talk too much about the positioning of these grunts or the movement controls. I think we'll have an episode on that, just kind of cover how these movements work, what players are looking to do with them. But yeah, so Goopy just assisting his factory with that 4th engineer. 1, 2, 3, 4th engineer. And it's going to continue to add on another batch of grunts. So really dumping that mass into his economy. You see he's stalling on mass right now. Wondering if he's going to choose to pull off one of these assisting build power on the factory and start expanding. But don't see a command quite yet. Really nice movement here. Goopy's able to catch this grunt. Looking for engineers. Looking for construction bots. So we have our 5th engineer stepping out onto the board. Gonna assist the factory still, so stalling for power a little bit, but stalling for mass a little bit, -19 +9 per tick. But we have 2 metal extractors being created. So definitely will be able to support this kind of production, you know, as soon as these mexes finish. And really, I kind of call this a mistake. We're stalling mass pretty hard. So yeah, Goopy's gonna respond. He has these construction bots moving out to expand. You can pause the game, take a look, see how he chooses to expand. So 1 engineer, construction bot, sorry. Gonna cap these 3 mexes on the low ground, and it looks like this construction bot is just assisting the other. So he issued those commands together, and just adding on construction bots and grunts, right? So we're 5 minutes into the game, have about +11 mass income, almost +400 power, so pretty healthy economy. We see wind is at full speed, so kind of overbuilt wind turbines in the start of the game, but that was just dependent on the low wind speed and 1 factory still. And our commander's still in the main base. No radar, no LLTs. I actually really like that. They're relatively expensive in the early game. 90 mass, 700 power. That can be almost 3 grunts on the board, right? So moving around, sharking around, preventing run bys, doing run bys. So I would argue even in this early game, if you're good enough to, forego those LLTs. And I did not notice, but Goopy put on a radar tower just in his main base. And even though this isn't the best radar coverage, we can still see run bys on the left, run bys on the right. So, some radar coverage is better than none. I always like building radar towers, just in my main base at the start of the game. It's good. You don't want to be losing your economy, losing your early game nexus. And nice little grunt battle here. Good positioning from Goopy, just trying to deny that. Yeah, and we have a 2 construction bot gang here expanding on the left side. So expanding on the top, the right, and the left. Good to see. We're just approaching the kind of the end. We're 20, 25 mass income per tick. We'd stop the replay, but Goopy's just adding on more grunts. So I got a lot of grunts on the battlefield so far. Just stopped construction bot. Stopped the construction bot production at 5. So definitely a solid number for expanding and adding on economy. Really like this, emphasizing the wind turbine. If you're a little bit ahead on this power production, we could see plus 400. I think it was a minus 300 is about where he's at. We're sitting at full power, but you definitely don't want the wind to be your bottleneck. You want it to be mass. You want it to be mass up until the point where you have your half of the map, and we can kind of talk about what your half of the map would look like on Theta crystals. And for sure, it's this plateau. You want to be battling over this. This is a great high ground to be able to start spilling into your opponent's side of the map. Doing run bys. You can see you have access to a good portion of the player's side of the map from that high ground. So if you can control this, you can control where you want to put your army as far as run by goes. And then of course, this would be your half of the map. And really, this is a nice choke here. You would want to have these mexes capped and then maybe a couple of LLTs just to kind of support that position here. So that's definitely your side of the map. I'll pause the game. See a small little run by here on the right side. Goopy's trying to get into position. Run by on the left. Goopy's running down those grunts. And Freshie commenting, I like this map for 1v1s quite a lot. I'd like to agree with you. This is a great map. Pretty balanced. Nice open fields. And this run by is going to get a little damage done. I always like to see this in kind of our analysis, how these players like to react to, setbacks. Looks like he's going to lose this expanding engineer, perhaps. Definitely going to lose the mechs. Construction bot's taking damage, 50% health. Going to continue running by. Goes down, so loses that expanding engineer. Going to pause the replay. Getting close to the end of this, we can see that this construction, resbot came off of his reclaim order and is just resing these bots that went down in the early game. So definitely cool to see those used. Looks like Goopy actually added on additional grave robbers. I didn't quite see that, but he's up to 4 already. 6 minutes, 50 seconds into the game. And I've actually watched this whole game. He makes great use of these throughout the entire game. Both players do, for that matter. Great use of resbots the entire game. And this construction gang, still heading up to the tower, is actually going to build an armored mechs up here. Where is that? An exploiter, armed metal extractor here on the high ground. So it's almost, 5 times the mass income. 5 times the mass cost, 240 mass. But it's definitely going to let him start to protect his position from run bys or harassment even. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We had this construction bot go down. So about 5 construction bots. 3 res bots, mostly grunts. Commander is still in the main base assisting the factory, so just putting that build power into getting more units on the board, spending that mass. We're at 22 mass income per tick, so getting close to ending the replay. Just want to see how these early open goes, how these players choose to expand, where they put their radars, where they put their LLTs. And later iterations of episode, we'll do an episode on studying these grunt movements, and we'll just completely analyze where he's moving on the board at all times. So Definitely another part of the game we haven't really been observing at all. So I'll pause the game here. Think I might end the replay. This is Goopy on Theta Crystals. I'm gonna steal this open. I like this starting position if it's available to you, and just opening bot lab first. That's great on these maps. I always open bots, and in future videos too, I'll be creating ones for vehicle opens on on the same maps too. So if I find a vehicle open, or if you have a vehicle open, you want to send me, I'd be happy to cast it so other players can take it from you. If you like this content, if you want to see more videos like this, please consider liking, subscribing. I'd like to hear your comments, and look forward to the next one. Thanks for watching.